were.
I thought it was a little insulting.
And
I'm not insulting. I thought it was stupid.
right.
You know,
And did you,
if I'd known he was going to do that, I said, hell no.
Chaka Khan has gained fans all over the globe thanks to her electrifying rendition of I'm Every Woman. However, her tragic life story exposes a great deal more than just her musical achievements. It is a life touched by deep emotional struggles and loss. Is there anything hidden about this famous diva's life that we don't know about? Watching this video will take you on a journey through Chaka Khan's incredible life, peeling back the layers of fame to reveal the true story of her resilience and hardship. It is important to examine Chaka's childhood before delving into the hardships she has faced. Because of this, we can learn about her formative experiences and, eventually, the difficulties she has faced. Origins and formative years in music. The musician Chaka Stevens came into this world on March 23, 1953, in Chicago's South Side. It was Yvette Stevens when she was born. She was the firstborn out of 4 siblings. Despite Chaka's strict Roman Catholic background, which forbade her from joining gospel choirs, she drew inspiration from jazz early in her career. Thanks to her grandmother's record collection, Chaka first heard the music of the legendary Billie Holiday when she was a little girl. Everything that happened made a lasting impact on the young artist. Chaka would subsequently reflect on Holiday's impact, praising the authenticity of the feelings and experiences conveyed in her music. Chaka was deeply moved by the pain, strength, and resilience that Holiday sang about. It planted the seeds of inspiration that would grow into her own successful career. In her preteen years, Chaka started pursuing music seriously. With the help of a few of her closest friends, she formed her first band, which they called the Crystalettes. The name was inspired by the way the lamps in Hyde Park lit the newly fallen snow outside their high-rise. These young musicians, who drew inspiration from Gladys Knight, entered local talent shows, where Chaka's strong voice became known as Little Aretha. As Chaka entered puberty in the mid-1960s, she was also devoting more time and energy to her music, which happened to coincide with the rise of the Black Power movement. At the age of 13, she joined the African singing ensemble Shades of Black. Here she went through a major metamorphosis, which culminated in the adoption of the stage name that would become famous all over the world. The group leader marked a watershed moment in her journey toward self-discovery when he gave her the name Chaka. During this time, Chaka lived an adolescent-like life of musical experimentation and rebellion. She perfected her craft and established her own unique style as a singer while performing with several bands. But her rebellious spirit took her down other potentially dangerous paths. In following interviews, Chaka would elaborate on her gun-carrying habits, including the fact that she would practice shooting weekly. On the flip side, she ended up giving up the weapon since these actions had a detrimental effect on her physical and mental health. When Chaka dropped out of high school and moved out of her parents' house, she changed directions on her trip. She entered into a common-law marriage with East Indian bass player Chaka Khan. The pair's identical bleached blonde wigs were a fashion statement that mirrored Chaka's fearless personality and made them famous. Contrarily, her next move laid the framework for her skyrocketing rise to stardom. Chaka began associating with Rufus, a band that had already garnered a sizable following in the Chicago area. Even though Chaka was a file clerk by day, she spent her nights with Rufus, gradually becoming a part of their routine. She then became close with the band's lead singer, Paulette McWilliams. At the time, Rufus's repertoire consisted entirely of dance songs and cover versions of songs by Sly and the Family Stone. Chaka took center stage as the band's new lead singer in 1972, following McWilliams's departure. At the time, Chaka was a mere 18 years old. A hitherto unseen chapter of Chaka's life opened up as a result of this shift. Triumph and independent profession. Rufus, a group with little to no name recognition, had just signed with ABC Records. Rags to Rufus, their second album, came out in 1974 and changed all that. There was little excitement surrounding their debut record, which bore no other name than their own. Among the tracks featured on the CD was the smash hit, Tell Me Something Good, written by Stevie Wonder herself. Not only was this song a huge hit, but it also changed the game. In addition to becoming Rufus's first Grammy winner, The song catapulted Chaka and the band into the national limelight when it peaked at number 3 on Billboard's Hot 100 chart. Rufus went on to produce 6 albums between 1974 and 1979 that were declared platinum after Chaka replaced the main singer. During this time, the band gained fame for their intense live performances, but it was Chaka's stunning stage presence and powerful vocals that truly stole the show. The band's reputation was solidified thanks to hits like You Got the Love, Once You Get Started, Sweet Thing, and its own song Hollywood. But as Rufus's fame grew, so did the band's internal strife, especially between Chaka and drummer Andre Fisher. The gradual departure of many band members due to the mounting tension was an early indicator of the impending changes. Chaka bravely took a step toward a solo career in 1978 when she signed with Warner Brothers Records. Rufus had a tremendous emotional hold on her at that time. She was about to step into the limelight as a solo artist, leaving the band behind, when she made this decision, marking the beginning of a new chapter in her life. A new chapter in her life began with this move. Later that year, her self-titled debut album Chaka was published, marking her debut as a solo artist. One of the album's highlights, the disco classic I'm Every Woman, was written by the legendary duo Ashford and Simpson. The song's meteoric rise to fame on dance floors and in the charts contributed to the album's platinum certification. Even though Chaka's star was clearly on the rise, she was ready to shine in her own unique way, trying to meet her responsibilities to Rufus and advance her career as a solo artist in the late 1970s and early 1980s was a mad dash for Chaka. At the same time, she released a number of solo albums, including 1980's Naughties, 1981's What Cha Gonna Do For Me, and 1982's Chaka Khan. Song titles such as Clouds, Papillon, and the Grammy-winning Bebop medley were all taken from these albums. Even when she performed alone, Chaka proved that she had the magnetic personality and musical chops to draw large crowds. With their 1983 album Stompin' at the Savoy live, Rufus and Chaka gave their final performance together, and the single Ain't Nobody was included on the album. Chaka was free to focus solely on her solo career. In the long run, this choice would pave the way for some of Chaka's most noteworthy accomplishments. Among Chaka's most pivotal years was 1984, when she put out the album I Feel For You. Even though it was a cover of a Prince song, the title tune ended up being a global hit. The song, which featured harmonica player Stevie Wonder and rap artist Grandmaster Melly Mel. It also showcased her ability to experiment with different styles and genres, which would be a defining characteristic of her career. Throughout the entire 80s and into the 90s, Chaka kept releasing commercially successful albums and songs. A string of hit singles including This Is My Night, Through the Fire, and her duet with Steve on Higher Love helped her remain at the top of her game. Even though styles came and went and the music industry evolved, Chaka stayed relevant by staying true to her roots while experimenting with new sounds. Released in 1992 on the album The Woman I Am, and her hit singles Love You All My Lifetime and You Can Make the Story Right proved that she could still wow listeners. Furthermore, Chaka maintained a significant influence in the music industry during the 1990s, thanks to her contributions to multiple soundtracks and collaborations with other artists. Chaka had a short stint signing with Prince's NPG Records in the 90s, but her autobiography, Chaka, Through the Fire, didn't come out until 2003. It gave her fans a better look at her career and life. Her 2004 CD Classicon showcased her versatility as an artist and was published the same year. On this album, she went back to her jazz foundations. In 2007, one thing that has set Chaka apart throughout her career is her ability to collaborate with different musicians and write music in a wide range of genres. Not only has she been on Broadway and on several soundtracks, but she has also been on tribute CDs. She has made an impression beyond the music industry. In 2004, Berklee College of Music awarded her an honorary doctorate in music for her immense influence on the music industry. Chaka has been honored with numerous distinctions for her substantial contributions to popular music. In 2011, the Hollywood Walk of Fame honored her with a star in recognition of her achievements. She has been nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on multiple occasions. both as a solo artist and as a member of Rufus. In both of these areas, she has been nominated. Chaka has continued to release music and perform live even in the last several years. Her debut studio album, Hello Happiness, came out in 2019. Her first single in 12 years, Like Sugar, is on the album. Beyond her appearances on The Masked Singer and other notable TV shows, she has also performed at the NBA All-Star Game. Nevertheless, Chaka was facing both internal struggles and external pressures that threatened to derail her progress as she continued to reach new heights in her solo career. The transition from band member to solo performer was fraught with significant challenges. The extra focus and pressure that comes with being a solo act can be daunting at times, according to Chaka herself. Since she no longer had the friendship she had with her Rufus bandmates, she began to feel lonely and isolated, and the stresses of the music industry made matters worse. Her good sentiments were fueled by her association with the legendary producer Arif Mardin, who produced her first 6 solo albums. To overcome the challenges of her solo career, boost her self-esteem, and push herself into unexplored musical areas, Mardin was an indispensable person in Chaka's life. In addition to being an essential resource during that challenging time, his advice and encouragement helped Chaka not only survive, but also grow as a solo artist. Contentious issues. Although Chaka's career has been marked by immense success, it has also been not without its share of scandals and public disputes. Some of these incidents have reintroduced her to the public eye in recent years, and not always for the best reasons. One of Chaka's most recent controversies erupted in 2023 when she made headlines for Hull. Her candid remarks regarding Rolling Stone's ranking of the 200 greatest singers of all time. Andrew Goldman, the podcast's host, informed Chaka of her ranking. Nonetheless, Chaka had no idea that she was ranked 29th. Her remarks in reaction to the news and those that followed received considerable media coverage, leading to a cascade of headlines that tarnished her otherwise stellar reputation. Upon learning her name was on the list, Chaka's sentiments were immediately made clear. In her first reaction, she was dismissive and said the list was irrelevant to her. It was said, "These individuals do not quantify or validate me in any way." Conversely, as the host provided more details about the list, her disinterest led to harsh criticism almost quickly. She made it plain that she agreed with Aretha Franklin's leadership role and said that it was merited. However, when discussing the other artists on the roster, including Joan Baez, Mariah Carey, Adele, and Mary J. Blige, she was far less kind. Chaka was rather forthright and, at times, scathing in her judgments of these artists. As an example, she mentioned that Joan Baez, who was 189th on the list, could write well but couldn't sing. In contrast, her reaction to Carey's 5th-place finish was to assume that Piola was the one. But it wasn't the last of Chaka's criticisms. Upon learning that Adele had a better ranking than her, she uttered a scathing remark while declaring, "Okay, I quit." In contrast, Mary J. Blige, who was ranked number 25, received the worst criticism. Chaka expressed her astonishment at the situation by saying that he is completely blind. For them, hearing aids are a need. It is believed that these are the offspring of Helen Keller. Although Rufus originally sang the song Sweet Thing, Chaka had previously expressed her displeasure with Mary J. Blige's rendition. Earlier, she had claimed that the song was Blige's fault and attacked the singer for recording it first thing in the morning when her voice wasn't perfect. Chaka demonstrated her great friendship with Blige and their ability to communicate honestly despite the harshness of her remarks. Regardless, the media wasted no time jumping on her remarks in an attempt to fabricate a feud when none existed. Chaka chose to publicly address the topic as the criticism surrounding these statements became more strong. In an Instagram post, she later expressed her regret for falling for the trap and letting herself be compared to other musicians. The artist learned that being an artist is not about competing with others. She apologized to anyone who may have been hurt by her remarks. In reiterating her commitment to uplifting others, Chaka emphasized that her intention had never been to do harm. Yet another major scandal that befell Chaka was her feud with Kanye West, the famous rapper. This feud started in 2004 when her album Through the Fire was sampled by Kanye West for his song Through the Wire. The fact that her voice was accelerated without her consent was one of the things that irritated Chaka at the moment. Over the years, Chaka expressed her disdain in multiple interviews, which only served to fuel the fire of animosity. However, Chaka had already decided to let go of the resentment by 2023. She went on to say that her discontent stemmed from her lack of knowledge of rap at the key time and that her feelings would have been less intense if she had understood the genre better. When she finally recognized that holding on to the resentment was a mistake, the animosity finally subsided. The confrontation ended at this point. Chaka had a lot on her plate, including her feuds with other artists, her public comments, and more. In 2024, her daughter Chaka Khan added fuel to the fire by responding to a video in which Sean Combs, aka artist Diddy, attacked his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. You could see how Diddy treated Ventura in the video. After the video went viral, Indira had no choice but to make a statement. An instance of Diddy's earlier mistreatment of Chaka was revealed by her. According to Indira, Diddy once lost it and yelled at her mom. When her brother tried to intervene, members of Diddy's security detail punched him. The fact that Diddy tried to mediate is where Indira got her knowledge. The way Diddy has dealt with her family in the past has made Indira feel resentful, and she has expressed her delight at witnessing Diddy's legal troubles. In her statement in reaction to her daughter's claims, Chaka discussed the incident and its aftermath, as well as the wider effects of abuse and violence. She spoke about her own struggles and how important it was to find inner peace via meditation and prayer in order to overcome negativity. In her message, Chaka pleaded with listeners to be responsible and compassionate, calling on them to help the downtrodden and to build a more equitable and loving society. Her thoughts illuminated the journey of self-discovery and the lessons she had learned. Private life. Although Chaka's personal life is marked by both famous romances and difficulties, it paints a complex portrait of the woman behind the music. As Chaka has navigated marriage and family life, she has encountered numerous curveballs. Her first marriage, to Hassan Khan, took place in 1970 when she was just 17 years old. Divorce was the swift and final outcome of the hastily formed marriage. Even though it was only temporary, the union impacted her future family life. The early 1970s saw the birth of Chaka's daughter, Indira Malini, who was the product of her relationship with Rahsaan Morris. The foundation for Chaka's future experiences with her family was laid during this time as her role as a mother began to take form. In 1976, Chaka Holland and Richard Holland were married, a partnership that would greatly influence her career. In Chaka, the impact of Holland was plain to observe. Reportedly, he tried to rein in her aggressive stage presence, but Chaka was not having any of it. Because of this conflict, she and the band Rufus, especially drummer Andre Fisher, eventually fell out. The marriage ended in 1979 after years of strain from both partners' careers and personal lives. Holland requested a divorce in 1980, stating that he and his wife had irreconcilable disagreements. As Chaka dealt with the fallout from her second marriage, she found solace and inspiration in her singing. While going through what she called a creative and emotional rebirth, and she collaborated with Ike Turner, the difficulties of the divorce didn't deter her from continuing to forge a career in music, thanks to Turner's advice. When Chaka's relationship with Holland ended, she dated an instructor in Chicago for a while. However, Chaka had to make some major changes to her life because this partnership didn't last. She fled to Europe in the mid-1980s, seeking refuge from the spotlight of her American profession in the hopes of starting over. She made London her home at first, but after relocating to Germany, she bought a property and resided in two places, Mannheim and a picturesque Rhine Valley town. She yearned for peace and quiet and self-improvement during this period of her life, away from the chaos of her earlier fame. Her desire for stability was a defining feature of this time. Rumors regarding her private life have also made it into the media. The myth that Chaka was romantically involved with Prince was one that stuck around for a long time. But in an interview, Chaka denied ever having felt romantic feelings for him. Actually, there was a miscommunication that was amusing and a little annoying during their first meeting. In San Francisco, Chaka received a call from the teen musician Prince, who was impersonating the iconic funk artist Sly Stone. During that period, Chaka was in the Bay Area, Prince himself shocked Chaka when he showed up in the studio. His impersonation had deceived him. Her first reaction upon leaving the conference was one of wrath, since she felt cheated. Despite a rocky start, Chaka and Prince eventually became collaborators and collaborated on the hit song I Feel For You. Tragedy. A lot of bad things have happened to Chaka, both privately and in the public eye. She has shaped her journey and proven her tenacity through these catastrophes. It wasn't until 2017 that Chaka opened up about her troubled adolescence. She left her home at the tender age of 16, propelled by a sense of rebellion and her active engagement in the civil rights movement. The decision to join the Black Panther Party, driven by her commitment to social justice, further strained her connection with her family. Her actions led to multiple detentions, interactions with the FBI, and school absences. During this time of unhappiness and defiance, she went through a lot of emotional turmoil. When Chaka initially began performing her famous hymn, I'm Every Woman, she battled with profound self-doubt and believed she did not deserve the strength portrayed by the song. Her profound melancholy rendered Joni Mitchell's music the sole solace she could find throughout her travels. She was able to cope with the mental strain and feelings of loneliness she had while traveling because of this. A turning point in the tragedy that had been afflicting Chaka Holland's life occurred in 2006, when her son, Damian Holland, was accused of murder. Injuries sustained by 17-year-old Christopher Bailey, who was shot, ultimately led to his death. Standing by her son Chaka's side, she testified in his behalf. The gunshot, according to Damian's account, was accidental. Despite his acquittal on the criminal counts, he was nevertheless held accountable in the subsequent civil lawsuit. The event dealt Chaka a devastating emotional blow, compounding the many challenges she already faced in her role as a mother. Furthermore, Chaka did face several difficulties in his professional life. Her record label struggled to categorize and manage her multi-talented personality, and she had a falling out. Because they couldn't perceive the broader view, she ended up at odds with the industry. Chaka was quite forthright in his response. If the record company wanted that sound, they should have hired Blige. One of her main sources of discontent, including this battle, was the music industry's failure to understand and support her unique artistic style. Addiction further complicated Chaka's already complicated life. She battled substance abuse for most of her adult life, primarily with alcohol, heroin, and cocaine. Incredible as it may seem, she managed to keep her profession and her personal life completely apart from each other. She managed her drug use with intervals of abstinence and herbal remedies, and she characterized her ability to juggle her addiction with her career as a form of survival. Additionally, she recognized that she was able to control her addiction. Using this method in conjunction with her dedication to her health, she was able to weather the storms of her addiction. In 2016, Chaka's life was further complicated by the loss of Prince. She did not learn of Prince's battle with fentanyl addiction until after he had died away. Chaka and her sister Yvonne chose to get help for their substance abuse issues after he died away. After realizing they had to do something drastic to stay alive, the band decided to postpone their shows and make their struggles public. Staying engaged and concentrated on her work proved to be the most beneficial strategy for Chaka in avoiding relapse into her old habits. As Chaka reflected on her struggles with addiction and rehabilitation, she realized that they were essential parts of her personal growth. What had happened, in her opinion, had been crucial teaching moments that had strengthened her resolve and deepened her understanding of emotions. Chaka displayed a feeling of acceptance and resolution while stressing that she did not dwell on past regrets. Another option is for her to keep a positive outlook while focusing on both the present and potential future. In addition to committing to a healthier diet, Chaka has chosen to become a vegan as part of her new teetotal lifestyle. An occasional carton of smokes is one of her few vices. She leads a fairly controlled life otherwise. In recent years, she has taken full responsibility for her granddaughter's upbringing after obtaining permanent custody due to her son's struggles with addiction. As a guardian, she is doing a remarkable job of taking care of her granddaughter. The fact that Chaka views this responsibility as her most significant investment shows how committed she is to providing a safe and nurturing home for her family.